Hi, guys. Welcome to the fifth episode of our podcast, ASU Connections. I'm Debbie Chu, PR for ASU.
And I'm Truman Marshall, this year's vice president.
Cool. And today we're going to be talking about media. So both me and Truman are consumers of media, obviously, but I think we're both interested like several different types of them. Truman, do you want to get started with what you like to do with media?
With media? I mean, there's a lot of different things, like music, for sure. Video games, I would say, is media. Movies, a little bit, when I have the time. Like, I don't always want to sit down and do, like, an hour, 2-hour movie, but I enjoy them. TV shows, not as much. I was never really, like, a TV show person. I never watched, like, Friends, Grey's Anatomy.
Sitcoms?
Or, even like Game of Thrones and stuff, I was never into. And then books, I don't know. I read a lot as a kid, but then I either got more dumb or more lazy, so I don't read as much now.
What about audiobooks?
Nah, I don't have periods of time where I don't have long periods of time where I can listen to something, but be, what's the word? I tend to engage with whatever I'm doing, whatever is right in front of me. And so I can't really focus on an audiobook in the background if I'm doing I don't know, obviously if I'm doing work or anything. I guess the times when I have time to just listen to something and think about it. Recently when I've been driving to co-op, but I've been listening to a podcast during that. It's called...
Oh, I don't know. You're about to talk about it. Go for it.
It's called, Well, There's Your Problem. And it's about engineering disasters.
Oh my God, Truman.
So there was one where a train derailed and hit a bridge pylon, and then the bridge fell on top of the train. That was a good one. They do a bunch of stuff.
Is this your civil engineering side coming out?
Maybe. I guess so. Or my morbid side.
Have you heard of a YouTube channel called Horror Stories? He basically just covers a bunch of these.
Oh, really? Disasters?
Yeah. It's pretty good. On the topic of YouTubers, who do you watch?
Oh, for YouTubers? There's one game review channel I like called Worth a Buy. I think he's from somewhere in the British Isles, the Kingdom. What else? I don't know. I watch a lot of I don't subscribe to people and then watch all their stuff. I just Video Game Donkey. But sometimes I just browse through the recommended, or I'll watch if I'm interested in learning something a defense strategy for Rainbow Six, then I'll search that specifically and then watch that.
Do you know Call Me Kevin?
I haven't heard of him, but
I don't even know if I'd classify him as a gaming channel. He plays video games, but this guy is the definition of chaotic evil. So it's whenever he plays those playthrough types of videos, he always tries to kill the characters, the main character.
What?
He played this one where it was something before dawn,
Until Dawn?
Yeah. He played that, and then basically his goal was to kill every single character. And it's so funny. It's I don't even know if I'd classify him as a gaming channel, because he's not actually trying to do well, but he's so funny.
Did you watch the Until Dawn playthrough?
I did. He got everybody. Oh, it was so funny.
That was a good game. I watched FaZe Jev play through Until Dawn. That was when did that come out? A couple of years ago? 3 years ago? In a while. But that was a good game. I think they have a new one. That studio did, I think it's called Man of Medan. Have you seen that one? Or something like that?
Truman, I know 2 things about games.
Okay. They're it's about some poisonous gas on a boat. But if you wanted to watch another one, I think it's the same type of game where it's mostly cutscenes, and then you have to make some decisions, and about who you save and stuff like that.
Truman, I have a question. When you were like in high school, middle school, were you one of the Call of Duty people?
I still am a Call of Duty person. Maybe somewhat regrettably, but I don't know. It was the only game that I was ever like halfway decent at. Call of Duty and like Counter-Strike. I was like, me and my friends played a lot of Counter-Strike, Global Offensive in, I guess it would have been like high school, like sophomore, junior year.
Is that what you put in your intro video?
Oh, yeah, that was my highlight reel. Because I got kind of back into it. I guess it would have been last summer, back into Counter-Strike.
I feel like over quarantine, everybody just regressed to their middle school and high school selves.
Like your comfort picks. It's like no one's like judging you, no one's watching you, so you just kind of do whatever, like, whatever your guilty pleasures are in terms of consuming media.
No, I like went back to Neopets.
Oh, you can still get on the Neopets server?
You can.
Yeah.
Or at least last time I checked, you could.
Wait. Okay, so there was Neopets and there was Webkinz, right?
And then Club Penguin as well.
Club Penguin. Well, they shut down Club Penguin.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, top 10 saddest moments ever recorded on YouTube was the end of Club Penguin when everyone was on the iceberg. Like, I didn't even play Club Penguin. I felt like that had like historical significance for our
I think it shaped everybody's childhood. Like, it was like a very defining era.
Yeah, it was all those like browser MMOs were huge. I was never good at it, but I think I had a free account on like Toontown. That was like the big one for when I was in, what was that, 3rd grade, 4th grade? Or was it later? Or earlier?
I think it was earlier. Inception
of time.
True, that's not good.
Okay, wait. So, what's the difference between Webkinz and Neopets? Webkinz, was that the one where you had to actually buy like the?
You had to like buy the animal.
Okay, but Neopets was like.
I don't think you had to. I know for like Club Penguin, you could buy the puffles, and then like you could add those to the game. I think, or like they had like coins or something. But I don't think they probably made dolls of Neopets, but I don't know if that was like part of the game because like you needed a Webkinz to play Webkinz.
What was I was obsessed when I was a kid. So Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, DS Pokemon games came with a pedometer that was shaped like a Pokeball, and you like, if you walked with the pedometer, you can like level up your Pokemon.
Really?
Yeah, you like transfer them to the pedometer, and then like I would walk around, or I would just sit in my car and like shake it to fake doing steps.
Me and my brother always had those like emulator, or it's not an emulator. It's like basically, it's like one card, but like you can download illegally a bunch of the games. Like I never got that because I always did it the wrong way.
I bought one of those in Korea once. Unrelated, but traumatic moment of my childhood. I lost my I forget what it was called, the Pokemon pedometer, when I was in like a layover in like LA or something, like flying to Korea, and I think I lost it in security. Like they didn't take it from me. I just like it must have fallen off.
Well, I would think they wouldn't take it from you.
And then like there was no way I was gonna go back to LA to get it. So
it's probably just sitting there like in their little lost and found bin.
Yeah, maybe. I wonder how my Charizard's doing. Probably not too high.
Wait, what DS games did you play? I like always grew up. I played the Club Penguin DS game. Then there was also, oh shoot, what was the dog game?
Oh,
Nintendog.
Nintendogs.
Yeah. And then there's this other one where it's like you just mine for different jewels. It was such a weird game. I tried playing it over quarantine. It was so boring.
Shout out to all the lost Nintendogs who haven't been played since like 2006.
Do they die in that game?
I have no idea. I didn't play it. I played, let's see, I had Super Mario Brothers for the DS, which I was just like, I must have been really dumb because I just could not beat Super Mario Brothers on the DS. It was like way too difficult for me. What else? Mario Kart DS.
Yeah,
That was a
that's
good
a good
one.
one.
And you could like, I would go over to my friends' houses and you could like connect the DSs.
Right. Yeah, you
There.
could.
That was sick.
Oh, did you ever play Kirby?
I never played Kirby. I wasn't like a huge like platformer person. What, Scribblenauts?
What's that?
It was like, it's like you type in words and it's like it's I guess kind of like a puzzle game. You type in words and you can like create what the word was that you typed in. So there would be like if you typed in like banana, then like a banana would spawn in and you could use that to like solve whatever puzzle the level had. So like, you know, maybe you had to convince some like old person to like cross the road safely. So you would put something
banana
across. I don't know. I can't remember like specifics, but I would just try to like brute force my way through everything. Like I was not very creative.
I mean, there's another game. I think it also had to do with drawing, but there. Oh my god, I don't really remember what it was, but it was like a quest. There was like slime, like black slime in it. I don't have the greatest memory.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There were definitely other DS games I played, but I think like Mario Kart, Pokemon were the big ones. Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyways.
Oh, who did you always start off with Pokemon? Who was your pick?
Well, I've only ever played. That was the only Pokemon game I was ever really like super into. But I think I started with. Like the. Why can't I remember? I feel like this should be like my star sign. It should be something I like instinctually know. I think I started with Totodile, like the water one. It was like Totodile.
Was that his name?
For alligator. I could be off. And I think my second playthrough I went Quilava. Or not Quilava. Cyndaquil. Quilava. Typhlosion. I forget what the grass one was in the game.
Bulbasaur?
Did they have Bulbasaur and Heart Gold Soulstone? I forget what generation that was.
Well, I don't remember which one I played. I always start off with like, there was like Charizard, Bulbasaur, and then I forgot the last one.
Charizard, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle?
Oh, it was Squirtle. Yeah, I think I always chose Squirtle because he was the cutest one.
There are way too many Pokemon now.
There's like
track after
Gold,
that game.
Sapphire. There's probably a Platinum. Like, it's a lot.
Back on this was a while ago, but Counter-Strike. Do you watch any esports?
I do not, but Jasmine, my co-head, has been trying to get me into esports because I forgot who she watches, but she's super, super, super into it. I think she watches League of Legends teams though. Yeah. But she's like super hardcore into it.
International scene or the North American scene?
I think international.
International? Yeah, you probably don't want to follow any of the North American teams.
Are they bad?
They're not very good. It's been like an issue for the past few years. Is NALCS is really below par in terms of like global competition.
Who's usually like the best?
I think like Korea's usually the best. I could be wrong. I'm not super up to date on my League of Legends. I think the Chinese league has been doing pretty well too though recently. I think Fun Plus Phoenix won. I think they won the last Worlds. Maybe it was 2 years ago. But I remember that was a pretty big like they had a pretty like I don't know if they were an underdog team, but I think people like cheering for them. Do you think esports are real sports?
Well, I mean, why not? Like, I mean, I'm struck because like when you think of sports, you think of people moving and like working up a sweat. But the thing is, you could argue people do that in esports. Like they're like moving their like hands. But they're definitely like working up a sweat. Like it's intense. And like there's endurance involved in it. And like I guess they have to be like, yeah, like they have to be hyper focused. Well, I guess I would consider as much of a sport as chess is. And there's some people who consider chess as a sport. I mean, it's not like football where like you're literally like running into each other, or like basketball where you're like body checking. Well, you can't body check people anymore, but like you're running into people. I don't know. I guess for the sake of not angering everybody listening to this podcast, I will say it's a sport. What about you?
I don't think it has to be compared. Like, that was an interesting angle that you came with, where like it's still taxing physically. I don't think they have to be compared. It's kind of like an apples to oranges thing for me.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously it's not like, you don't need to be like super physically fit to like play esports, but I mean, evidence has shown clearly that they're still going to pull like similar viewership. I think, there was some stat that was like the League of Legends League of Legends Worlds a few years ago was like, I think it was like the most watched like sports event of all time or something.
I wouldn't doubt that.
I mean, they might be counting like online viewers and stuff, in which case it might be a little, there might be some bias in it, but I mean, if it pulls the viewers, it has the fans, it has the players, and it has the sponsors. Like, I don't think you have to compare it to sports. It's just like its own
form of entertainment,
its own kind of thing. Yeah, and it models after sports, and like, I think that's fine. But there are definitely like some unique aspects to both, and so, and if people like watching both of them, then there's no reason they should like, compete with each other, I'd say.
Yeah. I agree with that, yeah.
We've been on a lot of video games. It's like a video game episode. Should we talk about movies?
Yeah, we could talk about movies. Truman, what's your most watched movie?
In terms of just like the number of times I've watched it? I think Silence of the Lambs is actually at 2 now.
Wow.
Not like recently, but I watched it once when I was like way too young to watch it for sure. And then I watched it on this past Halloween. I don't rewatch movies that often, which is why like 2 is close to the top. Okay. But I've probably watched, I think I watched the second chapter of John Wick at least 2 or 3 times. Inception, I think I've watched 3 times now. Although it might be Superbad. Superbad I might have watched like 3 or 4 times.
I would not have expected that from you.
Really? Superbad was like, when I watched Superbad, it was like, when something just like comes into your life at like the right time? That was like me with Superbad. Like, it's such a dumb movie, but I just felt like so emotionally compelled by the plot of Superbad. It just filled the void. Yeah. The first time I watched it, it was like instantly my favorite movie when I watched it. And it does have it has some pretty classic like jokes and one-liners. So,
I mean, teach their own. I feel like I'm the opposite of you. I mostly rewatch movies. But I also think that's just because I watch so many that it's hard to find a new one every single time. Yeah. But like The Martian probably is my most watched one, and I think I've watched that like close 50 times. It's it's a ridiculous amount. It's honestly like a ridiculous amount.
What's the runtime? 1:30.
I don't know.
I don't think it's super long.
I think it's 1.5 hours probably. Oh my god, it's 2.5.
2.5. I would not have guessed that.
I wouldn't have either.
Have you committed
no, Truman, let's not do that math.
Just
let's not do that math.
In space.
Truman, it's a pretty good movie.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I wouldn't have watched it 50 times.
Okay, honestly, after seeing that it was 2.5 hours, I also see 50 is a lot.
Oh, wait, how much do you have to space it out though between times that you rewatch it?
I mean, when I first watched it, I think there was a good month where I basically watched every other day. But then I think it's been about 6 months since I last watched it.
Okay, so that's a pretty good gap.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm gonna rewatch a movie, there has to be a decent amount of time between the last time I'll watch it. Like, I would say for me, probably it's like a year before I'll think about like rewatching something. But what do you rewatch it for? Like, because obviously you would know the plot and like the twists and like, is it just like gratifying to watch like the scenes unfold, or do you like the actors? Or
Well, I mean, I absolutely love all of the actors. Like, they're fantastic. Like Jessica Chastain, loved her in Zero Dark 30. Super happy when I saw her, like in The Martian. And obviously, Matt Damon's my favorite actor of all time.
really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I've watched almost all of his movies at this point. I think some of his more recent stuff I haven't watched, but like his like
He's done
older
a lot,
ones.
so
Yeah, he's done a lot. But I also think I just really like how they filmed it. Like, the scenes are really nice to watch. Like, when they show the Mars landscape, it's really well done. Also, I think the acting is just really good. Like, it feels very believable. And then they also overlay a lot of really, really good music onto it. Like, my favorite scene is when, I would say spoiler alert, but the movie's been out for 6 years. So, like, honestly, if you haven't watched it at this point,
but
yeah.
spoiler alert for the Martian. If you haven't watched it, skip ahead 20 seconds.
Like, when he's preparing, like, the second, I think it was the Mav or something. Oh man. I've watched it this many times and I still don't know what he's preparing.
A rocket thing that he takes back.
Yeah, to like shoot back up into space when he's like throwing out all the excess weight and he's like basically dismantling it. They play ABBA's Waterloo over it. And it's just such a great scene. Like, it's just everything combined with the music is so nice to watch. And then, yeah, it was like David Bowie's Starman was also in one of them. That was like also another really, really good scene. I think it's just like the ambiance it creates is really like comforting, like uplifting. So it's just a nice movie to watch.
Just like a feel good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you listen to movie or game soundtracks like just by themselves, or does it have to be with the movie to be enjoyable?
I don't think I've ever specifically like gone out of my way to listen to it. I think the only one is like Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think that's just because the music they choose is good.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a few songs that like every time I listen to, I just literally just see the movie again in my head. It's like Waterloo's one of them, obviously Starman. And then, Coldplay's Paradise from Life of Pi, like that's another one. It's like, I don't think I necessarily listen to them because like they're like the soundtrack of the movie, but like when I do hear them just like in public, like I just flash back to the movie. Mm-hmm.
That's for one of my top like movie scenes combined with the soundtrack is at the end of Inception. It's Hans Zimmer's Time,
Mm-hmm.
and Leonardo DiCaprio is like he's exiting the airport, like trying to get through customs with like his new like passport or whatever. I think about that whenever I'm in an airport.
You, Leonardo DiCaprio, in that situation?
Far from in that situation, yeah. I know it's the same kind of thing where it's just like, you know, it all comes together and it's like it's just like gratifying to watch, kind of uplifting. Yeah, I'd say.
Oh, Truman, you have completely turned me on to YouTube music. I completely see the appeal.
Did you buy it or are you just researching it?
No, Truman, like literally when Spotify removed all the music I listened to and like you recommended YouTube music, I got it right then and there.
Wow. And it's been good so far?
Yeah. So like I originally didn't want to get it like with YouTube Premium, but then I was like, you know what? Why not? And I feel like I'm just so spoiled with YouTube Premium now. Like, I don't know if I can go back.
Yeah, that was like, the thing for me.
Yeah, like, you can, like, download videos. You can also, like, turn off your screen and still listen to it. Like, it sounds so little, but it makes such a big difference.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. People should put on YouTube Music, YouTube Premium.
No, I completely agree with you now. I am fully on YouTube Music now.
You could I know a lot of people just use like ad blocker or whatever to skip the ads on YouTube. But I think there's other stuff that comes with YouTube Premium that's worth it.
And that's only on your computer.
Yeah.
So, like on your phone, you still get the ads.
Have they had all the music you were looking for?
Yeah, they do. And honestly, it's a little better than Spotify because sometimes Spotify splits up the artists I listen to. Because, like, one of my favorite artists is, like, Waybird, but he also goes by William Way, but then he also goes by Wei Liang. So it's like, they split his music up into 3 different artists, but, like, YouTube Music has it all under one. So, like, it's a lot easier.
I like YouTube Music, too, because you can find most of, like, or they put a bunch of YouTube videos that are like kind of songs onto YouTube Music, and you could download them from there. So like random like weird mashups, like the there's one really good one. It's Tame Impala's "The Less I Know the Better" with "Circles" by Post Malone.
Oh.
That one, you can just like download that on YouTube Music or listen to it on YouTube Music without like the video. I like that aspect because I can just find all like the really weird stuff that I listen to.
Where do you find most of the music you listen to?
This is an issue I've had for a while. Is like, I was talking earlier about how there's not a lot of time in my day where like I can listen to something and like focus on it as opposed to it just being like background noise. Where I'm like, don't have to do anything else, right? Or I'll get bored if I'm like, I wouldn't just like sit down and like listen to new music and like not be doing anything else. And so it's hard for me to find new music because if I want something in the background, it has to be something that I've like listened to before or else I'll get distracted. But I won't just listen to like, the new release playlist or whatever. Just like by itself, like while I'm not doing anything else. And so I guess most of the new music I listen to, some of it comes off like memes and stuff. Like if I just hear it somewhere, some of it comes off like if there's a new video, like I try and keep up with like most of my like favorite artists, like their new stuff. And some of it just like, pops up and when I forget to cue something next and it just comes on automatically. Or when it's recommended or something like that. So, but yeah, I always have that problem where it's like, I get tired of my music, but then I can't commit the time to like finding new stuff. So I just end up listening to the same song over and over again.
Wait, so do you listen to music when you do homework?
Sometimes it helps and sometimes it definitely does not help. And so I guess it kind of depends, like, it really depends where I'm at on the day. Like sometimes I'll need music to focus and other times I'll just get distracted. So, how about you?
I actually cannot listen to anything when I do homework. I have to be in like, it's either I can work with people talking or like in complete silence, but I can't do it to music. Like my roommate, she literally watches shows while she's coding. She like splits her screen so one half is her code, the other half is the show, and she's just coding as she's watching it. And I have absolutely no idea how she does it.
That's impressive. My retention would be like 0.
I know, like I can't even like read an article while listening to music.
My freshman year, it was not after NUN, but I think the end of spring semester. Taking finals. I was trying to study for, I think it was like Calc 2 or something. And I was like, okay, this is really boring. I'm just going to put on like League of Legends Esports on the side monitor. And I literally for like 2 days did not get any math study. I was just watching League.
Have you seen those people who say that when you play the Mario Kart soundtrack, like it helps you focus?
Really?
Have you never heard of that?
I feel like, okay, so movie and game soundtracks I feel like are good background. Like, not just Mario, I'd say.
Because it's like the Mario Kart soundtracks, it's because it's super like, how do I describe it? Like it kind of like pushes you forward. Because like it's like a racing game, So it's like, I don't want to say like anxiety inducing because it's like not, but it's like it provides that little bit of pressure to just like kind of bang out your homework. But I've seen so many people start doing that. Like so many of my friends do it. And I was like, that's kind of, that's really interesting. Like I think it was specifically, was it Coconut Mall or something like that? Like it's specifically that one that people are like is the most effective.
That's weird. I wonder I always wonder like how many little tricks there are like that. Like our brains are so weird. Like what if we just like if we somehow figure out how to like if we like figured out all of those tricks, like how much more productive could we be or how much more happy can we be if we just knew like, okay, if I play this exact song, then it'll help me with this. But I guess the issue is it's probably different for all different people. So, but those things are always kind of cool.
And like, you know how people used to always say, like, if you play classical music in the background while you're doing homework, like that helps you focus. I tried that, and every single typo I got, I just got so like frustrated and angry, and I just like turn it off because I like was not getting anything done.
Yeah, I could never listen to classical music. What was I gonna say? Oh, okay, so back to the new song thing. Mm-hmm. When you find a new song that you like, for me, it's like I can only listen to it like so many times before I get kind of tired of it. And so I know people that like will put it in a playlist and kind of like, or like listen to it every once. And like there are two schools of thought. There's like listen to it every once in a while so that you don't get tired of it too quickly and you can enjoy it longer. Or there's like the people who play it literally on repeat for like 4 hours until they're just sick of it.
I could not do that. It's like, I always put into like my giant playlist of all my music, but then it's like when I like do something like go outside walking, something that happens frequently, but not frequently enough for me to get tired of the music. Like I would just kind of play it on repeat then, but it's only for like 10 minutes.
Gotcha.
So it's like I do it in spurts.
When I figured out about I used to be in like the just put it on a playlist, like don't get bored of it too quickly hype. But now I'm like, well, if I'm enjoying it now, I may as well enjoy it for as long as I can. So when the Post Malone like Pokemon song came out, they did like a collab. It was kind of weird. But when that song came out, I threw it on my headphones it was literally like an hour one night. I was just playing only that song on repeat. It was so satisfying. That and like there was like a YBN Namir song called Fast Car Music. That's like it's like 2 minutes long. Like it's a super short song, but for some reason it like loops perfectly. So when you go through the end and then start from the beginning again, it's like
just
seamless.
One continuous song.
So I literally just listened to it for like 2 hours, like over and over again.
I don't think I could do that.
Which I guess is akin to like 2 minute song for 2 hours. It's kind of like watching a 2.5 hour movie for 50 times. Yeah. Although not back to back, to be fair.
I don't know. Sometimes a movie's just that good, Truman. Maybe you just gotta find that movie for you.
Oh, wait, what was on your list of top 10 movies? Because we prepared this beforehand for everyone who's listening.
I was stupid and put it on my phone. Give me a second. Ooh. Okay, it didn't close when I did that. Good. So obviously The Martian, number 1. Then it's...
Wait, are these in order, or is it like no particular order? Like, is it the first one?
It's like it's just The Martian. That one is the only one.
Martian is clearly number 1.
And then the next one are like my top 9, but in no order. But Rudy, it's a really, really. I remember I always watched this when I was sick because I don't know. I was a kid when I did that. I have no idea why. It's a really good movie. And then Spy with Melissa McCarthy, Draft Day, Knives Out, The Descent. The Invisible Man, Cabin in the Woods, Our Times, and then The Day After Tomorrow. It's a lot of horror movies, but I promise they're really good. They're not like the trashy slashers.
Is Day After Tomorrow the other one with Matt Damon?
That's Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's not like the one where it's like aliens and they have to like, he does like the same fight over and over again, right? Maybe I'm thinking.
That's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
True.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Totally different.
Wow, you really just got like my 3 favorite actors just
now. Tom Cruise was in Top Gun, right?
Yes.
What do you think of Top Gun? Have you watched it?
I did watch it. It's not really my type of movie, but it's Tom Cruise, so I'll watch it.
What did you like about Knives Out? I felt like everyone I know liked Knives Out. I didn't like that much.
Really?
Yeah, and I like Daniel Cameron or That's his name, right? The guy who played Bond, Daniel Craig. Craig. I liked him in like the new Bond movies, which I know not a lot of people, or not everybody likes the new Bond movies, but I liked him in those, and
I've heard a lot of people saying they liked it.
Something about the southern Daniel Craig doing the southern accent just maybe it just like threw me for a loop because I had seen him in the Bond movies. But what did you like about Knives Out?
I liked how in the beginning it was like kind of a letdown because it's like, oh, they already found out who did it. But then it was like they kept adding on more and more layers. And it's like sometimes they would do something where you'd be expecting a twist and then they didn't do it. And then in other times they did do it. So it was like they often like took me off guard with a lot of the stuff that they did. And also I think it was just a really, really good cast.
Yeah.
It was a pretty strong cast. But I think it was just, it's one of those movies that the more you watch it, the more you notice what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think it is one that gets better the more you watch it. But it's just the twist. Cause in the beginning, it's like, wow, like, all right, like that's how the guy died. Like, okay, that's not that interesting. But then like they throw in this extra factor, which is really cool.
Gotcha. My top 5 were, in no particular order. Inception was one of them. Inception, I also feel like is a movie where the more times you watch it, the more you get out of it. Like,
is it because it makes more sense every time?
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I was so confused. But yeah, it makes a little bit more sense. And like, I don't know. I liked Leonardo DiCaprio in that one. And I kind of liked the, like, him and his wife, like, him getting over, like, feeling guilty. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty compelling, like his character development, I guess. Good action scenes too. And that one guy, I forget his name, who played like Venom in the new Venom movie. He's
Tom Hardy?
Yeah, Tom Hardy. I like Tom Hardy. Also, did you know that in Inception, if you sync up, you've watched it before, right?
Yeah.
You know how at the end of the movie, so they're doing like the Inception or whatever. The top level is like them in the van.
Yeah.
And then one down from that is like the hotel. And then it's like what's after that? The last one is like the base.
Like the snow one. Yeah.
If you sync all those up, and like put them at their respective speeds. Like I forget how much it slows down, but it's like, a quarter speed for each level you go down. They all sync up to be like exactly a minute or something, or however long the time is. Like when they're in the van falling from the bridge, they like all sync up if you play them at like their respective speeds.
That's so cool.
To end at the same time, which I thought was a pretty cool detail. So Inception, Superbad, we talked about before. James Cameron's Avatar, not the animated one, but the one with the blue people. That was like, you have
to make that distinction.
When I was like little, that was like one of my favorite movies. Like,
yeah,
just like the CGI and like I just thought it was cool, like the big robots and stuff. So
it made, like, it changed the practical effects industry a lot as well. Like that was like a really, really big movie.
Gotcha. And it boxed pretty well too, right?
Yeah, for a long time it was like the number 1 grossing film.
So that was a big one. John Wick Chapter 2, I think I might have mentioned.
Yeah.
That's another when they're in that, like, they're throwing the party in like the ruined castle, and John Wick crashes it, and like they're singing like the future opera or whatever, and he's like gunning people down. That was one of my favorite scenes. And then I like Keanu Reeves too.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Reddit kind of idolizes him a little bit too much, but he seems like a good guy, and he does a lot of prep work for those movies too. Like one of my other like YouTube things I watch is him like prepping for all the movies by doing like all this tactical training. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've been trying to watch more Tarantino movies.
Is that the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch that.
You should watch it. I really enjoyed it. It's slow. I think a lot of people who didn't like it say it's like just really slow in the beginning. But I thought it was like, there's such good like atmosphere, and like DiCaprio and Pitt kind of act so well that it didn't really matter for me. Like I just enjoyed like being there and watching like the slow parts just because it was cool. So, but yeah, those were my top 5.
I just remembered another really good movie that I forgot to mention, but Kingsman.
I like that movie too.
That's one I often rewatch too.
How many times?
Truman, I don't know if I want to say.
Kingsman was really good.
I like, my favorite scene obviously is like the infamous one where they're at the church and like just killing everybody. It's just, I don't know. It's like, that's another really good example of like soundtrack with the visuals.
The solo on Freebird. What a solo. Did you see the, I think Family Guy did a parody of that scene?
Really?
Yeah, where they're like... Family
Guy and South Park make a parody of everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one to watch too. Did you watch the sequel, Golden Circle?
I did. It was okay.
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much.
I didn't mind it. Like, it was enjoyable to watch, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah.
Whereas Kingsman is like one of the classics. You just got to keep watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Golden Circle was a little like cheesy.
Yeah.
It kind of took some of the bits too far.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about watching horror movies? You're a big horror movie person. Like, coming from someone who like doesn't like gore or like being afraid.
So I think for me, like, I don't find the horror movies I watch scary because I mostly do watch gore and like slashers.
And you're just...
Because I feel like that's a lot less realistic than paranormal, which I know a lot of people disagree on because, like, I don't know, a lot of people don't believe in ghosts. But I'm, like, not so quick to dismiss the fact that there might be ghosts. Whereas I feel like, you know, like a Michael Myers, Jason, like a Purge, like, that's not going to happen in real life. So, like, I'm never really afraid of those. It's mostly just, it's sad. Oh gosh, that sounds so messed up. It's satisfying to like see the creative ways. Oh man, how do I say this without sounding like a psychopath? Like, okay, the practical effects, like when they're done well, make a movie so much more enjoyable. And it's also just like, I feel like with most slashers and gore movies, the directors and the cast like tend to have a much better relationship because it's, like, they just tend to have more fun on set because, like, when you're surrounded by all that gore, like, you kind of have to. But then it's also some of the kills are just so ridiculous that it's, like, you can't help but admire the creativity that was put into it. So, I don't know. And also, like, when the main villain does get murdered, which honestly doesn't happen that often, but when they do, that's satisfying to watch.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. Invisible Man was on your top 10 though, right?
Yes.
Wasn't that more of like a psychological?
It was. So, yeah, that tends to be not something that I gravitate towards, but...
Is it more scary for you? Like psychological as opposed to... Or
not necessarily. I think, what's the actress's name? It's not Judy Greer, is it?
Really bad at actor and actress names. I've already demonstrated in this episode.
Oh gosh, she was Elizabeth Moss. I was so far off. But I think she just did a really, really good job in selling like the idea of like someone who's in an abusive relationship. And I think it's just a very interesting spin on the original concept of the Invisible Man. Because the original movie, it was like he was like a scientist who like drank a potion that made him invisible. But I think this was a really good modern take of it. And it was also, there was that like abusive relationship element that was put onto it. And this is another one where the filmography kind of sells it. Cause if you like, I've watched so many videos on this, but there's moments where the camera frame is kind of like a little bit too far back. Like, cause you're seeing a little too much of this, of like the set. So like there's a really large blank space and it's supposed to make you look at that blank space and be like, is something there? Like, do I see any movement? So it's like you feel kind of paranoid because you're like, something might be there, and you're like looking for that little detail that shows you something's there. And it's supposed to simulate like how she feels having an abusive husband and running away from it. Like, she's constantly paranoid about him being able to find her. And also, well, I guess this is a spoiler alert because it just came out. So spoiler alert, when she kills him in the end, that's so satisfying because she does it in the exact way that he killed her sister. And it's just such a perfect ending to the movie. I just think, and also like her character is really smart in the movie. You know, like a lot of slashers, like,
they're kind of dumb.
Yeah, like that's like the typical trope. But she's really smart in a lot of the stuff that she does. So I think it was just like a good movie, not necessarily just a good horror movie, but just like a good movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Two things. I want to hope I can remember both. The first one is those movie details, like the way that directors like film shots or use symbolism. That is like one of the coolest things to binge watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I think Every Frame a Painting is one of the channels that does like movie analysis. And there's another one that I can't remember right now, but like, if I were more creative, I definitely would have like gone to school for film directing. That'd be so cool. Cause there's so many of those little tricks that like you can't do with like, that are so unique to like the movie, like motion picture format. Really cool to see. That reminds me too of one of my other top movies, which was, have you seen No Country for Old Men?
I have not.
That was a very good book and a very good movie.
Wait, is that a Brad Pitt one?
Ooh.
What's the one I'm thinking of where he's like, what's in the box?
Oh no, that's I haven't seen that one, but I've seen like that GIF or whatever.
Okay, I guess it's not that one.
And the second thing I was gonna say, I lost it.
Truman.
Wait. Movie details. We were talking about Invisible Man.
Mm-hmm.
No, totally.
Truman, you can't pull up.
I was trying so hard. Oh, it's in my notes. Notes. Okay, so the one book I've read recently was, my mom got me a book called In the Woods by Tara French, which is, it's a fiction, it's like a mystery. It's like a murder mystery. But that book, like, it was one of the only books I've read in a while because it was so like gripping at the start, and I like plowed through it in like one weekend basically. But the ending left me like actually like upset.
Really?
Like I was like angry. And, like, I don't want to like spoil it, but it's just basically, it's not a good ending.
Okay.
Like nothing really works out for like the protagonist. And that made me really like, it made me upset that I was upset at that, because like, it's just like a book, like, you know, it's not a real person. And like that, it happens that way sometimes, but it kind of got me thinking about like for you, when you watch a movie or listen to a story, does it have to have a good ending for you to be like satisfied with it? Or have you ever felt at the end of the movie that like, if something didn't work out, you're like disappointed or upset?
I don't think it's ever left me like upset, but it's always left me like a little uncomfortable at the end. Like, I think one of the movies I mentioned, The Descent, it's basically about like a group of women who go spelunking, but then they get like trapped in the cave. But then on top of that, there's like these mutant creatures that try to kill them. But then like at the end, you think the main character, I skipped a lot of stuff that kind of adds to it, but like just watch the movie for yourself. But, it's like at the end, you think she actually gets out of the cave. But then at the very end, I think this is only in the international version, because I guess Americans couldn't handle this last ending part. But it just shows that like she ended up back, like she never escaped the cave. And then like in the beginning of the movie, like her daughter dies. But it kind of just showed like she has like a torch at the end of the movie. But then when she's like stuck in the cave, she like kind of went insane. So she kind of saw the torch as like her daughter's birthday candles. And so she's like singing happy birthday to her daughter. And you just see all the creatures like coming in towards her, like about to kill her. So like, it's like a really bad ending, but like, it's a good ending because it's like, an ending that makes you feel that much emotion is a good ending, regardless of if it's good or if it's like a happy or bad ending. But that one definitely made me feel a little uncomfortable for a few days.
And it was only in the international version? It wasn't in the American version?
Yeah, in the American version, they had some sort of like weird jump scare. Yeah, it was like, meh, it was okay.
Do you think, this is tangential, but do you think Americans in general need to have a more like satisfying ending to things based off?
Yeah, probably. Just, I mean, I guess look at all the big movies that did well, like Endgame. Like, I know the first part like was a bad ending, but then that drew people to the second part because they wanted that happy ending, which like they technically got. Like, no spoiler alert for this because everyone knows this. Yeah, but like when like Tony Stark dies at the end, like, it's sad, but it's like, you know, like they won.
Yeah.
So it's still like a happy ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Americans are kind of like used to, myself included, like used to like, you know, winning.
We're just soft. Like, we can't like take.
Yeah, exactly. Like it can be like a kind of concession, like, oh, Tony Stark died. Like we sacrificed to get here.
Yeah.
But
like it's like, still overall happy.
You kind of have to like be like, okay, we, you know, either we won or we did the right thing. And, like, lost because of, you know, some external factor. That brings up another question I had, which was, do you consume media? So you said that, did you say that any ending that brings up a lot of emotion in you is like technically a good ending because it like made you feel differently about whatever? So do you consume media for, like, I guess it's kind of a spectrum, but do you lean towards like consuming media for sort of like escapism and like happy endings and like stories like that, or as kind of like a reflective process, like something that you want to watch, something that like makes you think deeply and like kind of ask questions about yourself and stuff like that?
I think when it comes to movies and shows, I'd probably lean more towards the latter, like the reflective side of it. But when it comes to music, I think just because the context that I listen to music in, it's usually like when I want to take a break or something like that. Like I do tend to lean towards more like the happy, uplifting ones to kind of like make me feel better in that moment. But I think for movies and shows, like I'm okay with more of like the ones that make me think a little bit more, and it's not necessarily all like happy.
I think for me, it's like video games. I definitely use it as a form of like escapism. So like, you know, just to not think about whatever I have going on at the time. Movies, I say too, I kind of want like a satisfying ending. And then I would like, part of what made me upset about this In the Woods book was like, it made me like it wasn't a happy ending. And I was like, okay, but like there must be like a reason for that. Like I'm supposed to be like thinking and about like the ending and why it happened and like the lesson or whatever. And, like why, and like reflecting on like what this says about the world. But it just like, maybe I'm just too dense. I just like couldn't like pick out anything that was like the lesson. And so I was like, okay, great. I blew like, you know, 8 hours reading this book and now I'm upset at the end. So like, what was the point? I didn't learn anything.
I always watch the movies and then I always, right after I watch those analysis, videos on YouTube in order to actually understand the movie. Because, like, I feel like I just watch things at surface level. So I need, like, people to literally spell it out for me.
Yeah. Yeah, those are fun to watch. But it's always, like, you know, do I want it to be, like, the meaning to be, like, spoon-fed to me? Or do I want to kind of come up with something myself? But I guess, I mean, if you watch it, you, like, automatically come up with your own, like, kind of ideas about it. So I don't think there's any downside, especially when it makes you appreciate the movie more.
Yeah.
Like, No Country for Old Men, when I watch I think there's an Every Frame a Painting on that.
Search up this movie. No.
It's a good one. It has, oh God, I'm so bad at actors. But
Oh, he's Denny, and he's also like the bad guy in Walking Dead.
oh,
I don't remember his name.
he's the sheriff.
Oh, Tommy Lee Jones is in this?
Yeah, he's like the town sheriff. He does a good job. That's also No Country for Old Men is also kind of also has actually like a not a perfect ending. But I have some music questions.
I was actually also about to talk about music too.
All right, I have like 4 like kind of heavy hitters. So if you want to open up with something, or I can just ask him. Then
I can ask you one. So, like with COVID and everything, more artists are holding virtual concerts. Like, do you think that's going to continue on after COVID?
No.
No?
I think like there's something so unique about being at a live concert that just you don't really get from the like to be honest, I haven't been to a lot of online concerts. I did go, there was the MXM Tune one that was part of, I think it was part of AHM or something. It was like the
I think so, yeah.
AHM. And that was like, it was enjoyable because like I had never seen MXM Tune, but it like, if I had to pick between going to a virtual concert for like an artist I really like and a live concert for an artist I didn't like as much, I would still go to the live one, I think.
But do you think it would make certain artists more accessible to like other countries? Because like for foreign artists, like it's a lot of money to come to the US.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Like I feel like, I mean, obviously everyone would prefer a live concert because it's just, when it's virtual, it kind of feels like you're just watching a performance online.
Yeah.
You are, but like, like a YouTube recording, like, but like, I feel like it would make certain artists more accessible. So like ones whose company maybe don't have the money to like send them overseas, like they could have something for their fans. Like I think it will still primarily be like a live concert situation, but I don't know. I feel like virtual concerts might open up certain artists to like new fans.
Yeah, I guess there might still be a place for virtual concerts after things reopen and there are still live concerts. I guess, I don't know. For me, it's like, it wasn't that much different. Well, no, I guess it was. It was better than just like listening to because I wouldn't have like gone and listened to MXM Tune by myself. So yeah, I guess there is some potential for, especially like, for travel fees and stuff like that, and to kind of, get music more accessible to more people. I guess I can see them still being around, after COVID. Like, I don't think it'll be as enjoyable, but you were more asking like, will there still be a place for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would say so. All right. Some interesting ones here. Do you think, which one do I want to start with? Do you think you have to go through like pain or trauma to be a good artist?
That's a good one. I don't think it's a requirement, but I feel like we were talking about earlier with escapism, a lot of people go to different forms of media to either for escapism, but also some people want to just kind of get that confirmation that like other people are feeling this, like I'm not alone in feeling this way. So I feel like it's not a requirement, but in going through some form of trauma, I feel like it brings a little bit of depth into the work you have, and to some people, it might make your work a little bit more relatable.
So you think it makes the music better?
Well, I guess that depends on what the listener's looking for when it comes to music. Because sometimes you just want like a very surface level uplifting song.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when you're like in your moods, like you do want to find an artist who like can capture the same emotions that you're feeling. What about you?
I didn't really have an answer, but I can see where you're coming from, where it's like, you know, depending on what you're looking for. Like, oh, what was that? Have you heard of Whit Lowry?
Mm-mm.
He does like songs where he's just like crying and stuff. Like he did one about like his dad died of like cancer or something. And like those are very extremely towards one end, where it's like, it's really like, you know, there's a lot of pain that he's just kind of putting like right out there on the record. But yeah, I guess there's a place for that. I mean, sometimes that's, yeah, like you need to feel like kinship, I guess. Like there's someone out there who's going through what I'm going through. Do you think artists' music sounds better after they die?
Man, Truman.
I warned you. Like Mac Miller, Pop Smoke, XXXTentacion. Like these are all people who like, well, I guess with some exceptions, but they're what's the other one? Like Lil Peep. Like a lot of people who like large audiences of people didn't listen to before they died, but then after they died, they became way more relevant. Their sales skyrocketed. So many albums now are coming out after the artist has passed away. It's like, is that authentic?
I think as opposed to it sounding better, I think more people just appreciate it because it's like this is like all you're gonna get from the artist. Like you're not gonna get, because they have passed away. Like this is basically all you have of them left to listen to. So it's like people people listen more thoroughly when an artist has passed, because it's like this is all they have. Yeah, this is what you get. It's like you try to like grab onto every single thing that you can hear. So I think it's kind of like artists, like Van Gogh. Like once he died, his artwork skyrocketed in value because people are like, this is like, he's not going to make any more art. So it's like the appreciation value increases because this is it.
Gotcha. And do you think that's like that's a valid reason for people's work to become more influential, is just because, you know, they're dead while another artist is alive?
Well, like I said, because it does bring a lot more appreciation to the artist, it brings a lot more awareness to them as well. So if they do gain more influence in that way, I think it is valid. But if people are holding them on a pedestal simply because they have passed away, then that feels a little fake.
Yeah, there's definitely like a difference between people really like paying more attention to and therefore like understanding more of the music and like appreciating it more versus just like, glorifying them.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a difference between like, you know, the albums that come out post-mortem of like, you know, a whole set of tracks that were unreleased but basically finished, and then like, you know, people are compiling like 20-second snippets or like, you know, one chorus line and kind of putting it together into an album. I was mostly talking about like kind of the hip hop side of things. Lil Peep, X, Rip DMX, Ross, and recently. But I know there was also, I mean, I'm not super into K-pop. There was a couple of like, I feel like that also kind of happens in the K-pop scene where there was, I forget how long this was ago, maybe like 6 months or something, but there were a couple of like high profile, like, K-pop artists who like passed away or something, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any insight on that, or did you not listen to them that much?
I like kind of stick to my own little bubble in K-pop, so it's like I never really listened to them, like before they did pass away. But like I was saying, like it brings like more attention to their work, like especially stuff that was released post-mortem. So like one of the people that did die in K-pop industry, when when like his company released the song that he recorded, like right before he died, I definitely went to watch that, and I don't think I would have watched that had he still been alive.
Gotcha.
Damn.
But that was like, it was like a pretty finished song, and it just kind of came out like,
It was completely finished, yeah.
And it just led to more appreciation.
Yeah.
Do you think ugly people can still be musicians?
Yeah. Oh man, that's something I really, okay, if we're on the topic of K-pop industry, like, that's something that really, really bothers me, because it's like they're trying to stick these people into this mold, but then the people that don't fit, they throw away. But then it's like, you listen to those people, and they're fantastic musicians. Like, okay, like, there's this artist, Ailey, like, she's not as thin as, like, the K-pop industry would want her to be, but she's a fantastic vocalist, and I think her music is great, but it doesn't fit in with, like, what the K-pop industry wants. But I think if you are not conventionally attractive, you can still be a great musician, because music is not associated with, like, your appearance.
Yeah.
It's like associated with your experiences, your talent, like, just sometimes your talent, and also just like how much work you put into it. So yeah, they absolutely can be great musicians.
But you would say there's a difference between being a good musician and finding success within the music industry.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then the last kind of heavy one I have, well, I guess this one's not as bad. So, do you think that people are resistant to, like, if you have a favorite artist and then their new album comes out and it's different from work they've released in the past, like, you know, they've really made a fundamental change to, like, their style or something like that. Do you think people are resistant to that? Do you think people just want to hear, like, kind of, well, like, hear the same thing over and over again in terms of style?
So this happens to me a lot. The first, like, it's like there's a group 17, which, you know, Brie often talks about. It's like, I really like their music pre 2018, I think it was. But then they started to get more into, like, the EDM and kind of, like, heavier sounding songs. Whereas, like, when I was talking about earlier, like, I prefer lighthearted, like, happier songs. So I think, well, for me, like, I definitely just, like, did not listen to them after their music stopped suiting my taste. But that's just because I feel like there's so many artists in the world.
Yeah,
like,
you can just find.
You can find something that suits your preference. So it's like with this new change in style, they would lose fans, but they're also going to gain fans that like that type of music. So it's like, if an artist I support changes their style and it's no longer the type of music I listen to, like,
you just won't listen to it.
Yeah, I just won't listen to it. Cause like I said, there's just so much music out there. I can find something that I do like. So it's like, there's no need for me to, like, hold on to this one artist.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there's, like, some people will say if an artist changes their style, like, oh, they, what's the word? Like, if they kind of sold out or something, like, they just went into, like, maybe from a niche to, like, a wider audience of music, like, oh, they changed their style, they sold out, like, they're not being authentic anymore. But then there's the other side of it, which is, like, they just, you know, the artist changed as a person, or they want to experiment, or they want to try new things. I think something that, like, the Whole Lotta Red by Playboi Carti, that album, I think was, a lot of people didn't like it when it came out. I don't know if people still dislike it, but it was like it was more experimental from what I gather. And some people got really upset that, like, this isn't like old Playboi Carti. I don't know. My thought on that is just, you kind of, you know, people change, and that's just kind of how it is. And I think the good thing to do would just be, if you don't like listening to their music, you're not obligated to listen to it anymore.
Yeah, I don't understand people that, like, actually get upset about it, because it's like, it's the artist's own work. Like, they're, like, basically allowing you to listen to it, you know? Like, yeah, like, if you don't like it, just move on. There's no point in kind of, like, bashing the person, going, like, yeah, like, you sold out. Like, if they did, like, there's other people that would like their music, but if they're just experimenting, then, like, just let them be, you know? Like, it's not that deep. It's nothing to, like, attack a person on.
I have a quick country music question. So my high school, one of the teachers that helped us in our robotics club, we were driving to a tournament and she was playing country music, and me and all my friends like hated country music at that point. And so we asked her, like, you know, why was she playing country music? And she said she liked country music because it was less about like owning a truck and like drinking beer and like being out on a farm, and more about like telling stories that people relate to, like more the emotions that the country artists have. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think people pigeonhole country music into like cornfields and drinking beer. Like there are obviously those types, but they like, I feel like country artists are very good at using their lyrics to like, they're very good at laying out a story. Like it's not like, I feel like a lot of artists are like it's kind of abstract. Like you kind of have to pull the meaning from it. But I feel like with country music, like the artist is just like telling you like the story. Like this is what's going on. This is what happened. This is like how it ended. So I feel like country is one of those genres that that you listen to while listening to lyrics. Like it's not something you listen to passively. I think it's definitely one of those genres that you do listen to for the story.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite country artists that do that kind of music?
Rascal Flatts. I talk about them all the time. I think they're fantastic. Oh shoot, there's this one country song that when I did start talking about like how they basically read out like a story, there's one that comes to mind, but I cannot remember it. Oh shoot, yeah, I'm completely blanking on the name of it. But yeah, no, I think Rascal Flatts is like one of the best country artists in my opinion. Luke Bryan is good too. Some of his songs are like the generic like whiskey, like I don't know, like kind of like like what you think of when you think of country. Like he does have a few of them that are pretty good storytelling songs. But he's like kind of like the typical answer.
Yeah, but even like the, you know, for lack of a better word, like stereotypical country songs, like those are good for. I like listening to those sometimes just because you know,
it just it lifts you up
too much.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need. All right. Well, I think I've gone through basically all of my questions. And how far are we into this? Oh my God, we're over an hour. It's okay. I don't even think Brendan listens to all of this. I think we can call it here.
I think that's a podcast.
That's a pretty solid one. I think we're the longest one so far.
I think so.
But that is totally fine. Well, yep.
Next podcast episodes, we think since we've gone through everyone on eBoard now, we're going to pull from general ASU members to record our podcast. So if you're interested in being on a podcast and going up on the ASU YouTube, I think Brendan sent out a form where you can sign up. Mm-hmm. So take a look for that.
If not, just spam him.
Yeah, there are plenty of ways to get in touch. So
yeah, well, I think that's it from us. Yeah. All right. Bye. I don't know. How do you end a podcast?
Until next time.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.